Hello students, welcome to K2 Institute. So today we are going to continue our chapter number 4 of class 12 polity, which is your international organization. So up till now we have discussed why these international organizations was required, right? In which we have discussed that after the World War One, an international organization with the name League of Nations was formed. But this League of Nations could not fulfill the job of maintaining peace and security in the world. Hence, after this League of Nations, another organization was created, which was your United Nations. Okay, after the World War II. Okay, so basically after the World War One, an organization was created, which was your League of Nations. But League of Nations failed to maintain peace and security, because we saw that World War II actually happened. So that means this League of Nations could not fulfill its job. So hence after this World War II, another organization was created, which was the United Nations, right? So we have discussed this, and then we have discussed about the evolution and history of the United Nations, how many members were there initially, and what kind of objective the UN has. Okay, so now in today's lecture we are going to talk about the structure of the United Nations. So today we will talk about the United Nations system and the principal organs, right? So there are basically 5 important organs of the United Nations. Okay, so let's talk about these particular organs. Initially there were 6, but now there are only 5. So here in this particular box, the blue ones, this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay, so these are your important, these are your principal organs that were formed initially. But now this trusteeship council is no longer in existence. So currently there are 5 principal organs of the United Nations, right? So let's understand each one by one. Firstly, coming to the General Assembly. Okay, so General Assembly is the particular organ of the United Nations in which all the member states are having a equal representation. So currently there are 193 members in the United Nations, and all these 193 members are a part of this General Assembly, right? And in this General Assembly, whatever matter is being discussed, every country have one vote. Every country will have one vote. Okay, so the opinion or the vote of each and every country matters a lot in the General Assembly, right? But there are some kind of majority that is required. Okay, so for the issues that are not so important, so in that particular case a simple majority could work. But for the major decisions, let's say a decision regarding establishing a new body, regarding any changes, or regarding any other major topic, so regarding the major decisions, two-third majority is required. Two-third majority is required. So out of 193 members, two-third of the members should have to agree, only then that particular decision would be approved. And for the normal matters, a simple majority is sufficient. Simple majority means then decisions are not binding on the United Nations members. Okay, so whatever decision has been taken by the General Assembly, it is not compulsory for all the members to follow that decision. Means that decision is not binding, because all the members are voluntarily, okay, they have voluntarily decided to be a member, to be a part of this United Nations. Then how can its decision be binding on the members? It is up to you whether you want to abide by that decision of the United Nations General Assembly or not. It simply depends upon you. So it is said that decisions are not binding on the United Nations members. Okay, so that was the first principal organ of the United Nations, the General Assembly, right? Now let's talk about the most important and the most disputed one. Okay, the one due to which there has been so much conflicts in the United Nations itself. Okay, so that is your Security Council. That is your Security Council. So in the Security Council, first of all, the name suggests security means all the decisions regarding the security of the nation, regarding any kind of dispute between two countries, that would be taken by your Security Council. Now let me tell you the membership of this Security Council, which is the major issue of conflict. Okay, that is the major reason of all the conflicts in the United Nations. So in the Security Council, there are 15 members. Earlier, there were only 11 members. But let's just understand about the present scenario. So currently, there are 15 members in the UN Security Council, and out of these 15 members, 5 are your permanent members and 10 are your non-permanent member. Non-permanent member. Now, what is the difference between permanent and non-permanent member? First is the tenure. So they don't have any kind of tenure. They will be there for the entire throughout the life. Okay, throughout the period up till the UN exists. Okay, so these 5 permanent members have this veto power. Now let me just tell you what are which countries are actually the permanent members of United Nations. So these are your US, of course, UK, then we have China, France, and then we have Russia. Right? So these 5 are the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, and you can easily see that these are the most powerful countries. Presently they are not. There are so many other countries also like India who are powerful. But at that time these countries were considered to be the most powerful and the influential one. Hence they were given the permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. Now I just mentioned that they have been given this veto power. Now what is this veto power? So this veto power is the ability to negatively vote on a decision. That means if any of these country is not willing to take a decision, to not pass a resolution, then they can simply stall the decision. They can stall the decision altogether. It doesn't matter whether the remaining 192 countries want it or not. If any of these countries would vote against it, then that decision would not be passed. That is the power of veto. If USA does not want a resolution to be passed, then it will not be passed under any circumstances. No matter if the remaining countries want it or not, it doesn't matter. Only US veto power is important. US can actually use its veto power to stall the decision. So that's the importance. Okay, now let's talk about these 10 non-permanent members. So these 10 non-permanent members are elected for a term of 2 years, right? And the membership is given based upon the representation. Okay, that means all the nations should be properly represented. And if you have been elected for 2 years, then you cannot be re-elected immediately after that. So you will have to wait for the next 2 years in order to be re-elected. So that is about the UN Security Council. Let's have a quick read. Okay. So in the Security Council, we have 15 members, 5 permanent with veto rights, 10 elected by the General Assembly for 2 years term. Okay, so this particular election that I just mentioned, so this election would be conducted by the General Assembly member, right? And the decision is binding on all the UN members. Now this is the major point here that you need to focus upon. The decision of the United Nations General Assembly is non-binding in nature. It's non-binding in nature. That means it is not necessary for the member nations to actually abide by the decision taken by the General Assembly. But when it comes to United Nations Security Council, then all the member countries, all the UN members will have to abide by that decision. Fine. So the decision of the United Nations Security Council is binding in nature. That is the most important point here. Okay. Now let's talk about the third most important principal organ of the United Nations, and that is your International Court of Justice. You must have heard about Supreme Court, High Court, District Court, but what after the Supreme Court? Let's say if you are concerned about a particular issue, you can go to the District Court, right? Now let's say your matter could not be solved in the District Court, then where will you go? The Higher Court, which is your High Court, and even if High Court could not resolve your issue, then you will go to Supreme Court. But there is another court that is beyond the power and jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, and that is your International Court of Justice. So this International Court of Justice deals with all the international affairs. Okay, it has the power to override the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court or the Federal Court of any country. right? So in this International Court of Justice, there are 15 judges. There are 15 judges that are elected for a term of 9 years. Important, 15 judges who are appointed for a term of 9 years by absolute majority, and this majority where? In the United Nations General Assembly as well as the Security Council. So United Nations General Assembly plus United Nations Security Council, the member of these particular assemblies will have to vote for the appointment of the judges for a term of 9 years. Okay, and now where this International Court of Justice is located? So it is based in Hague. Okay, it is based in the Palace of Hague, which is in Netherlands. Okay, so that is about the International Court of Justice. Now the next one is Secretariat. Okay, so basically, for managing all the affairs of the United Nations General Assembly and Security Council, like where the meetings will happen, when the meetings will happen, so everything is decided by the Secretariat, UN Secretariat. Okay, so it is the international staff servicing the other principal organs. So it is basically the international staff group of people who are providing service to the other principal organs. I have just explained you that the meetings of all these General Assembly, Security Council, everything that will be managed by the international staff, and that is your Secretariat, right? It is headed by a Secretary General. So there will be a person who will be heading this particular Secretariat. Okay, so that is your Secretary General, and that Secretary General will be appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council for a 5-year renewable term. So there is one Security Council. Okay, Security Council. So this Security Council will give a recommendation to the United Nations General Assembly, and this United Nations General Assembly will then appoint a Secretary General. Right? For how many years? So for 5 years, and it is renewable. Renewable means this membership can be extended, okay, for another 5 years, right? So that is about the Secretariat. So up till now we have discussed about the General Assembly, the Security Council, then we had discussed about the International Court of Justice, then Secretariat. Now let's talk about ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council. ECOSOC. Okay, so the members of the Economic and Social Council are elected by the General Assembly for overlapping 3-year term. So they are elected for a period of 3 years, right? And there are 54 seats in the ECOSOC based on the geographical representation. That means we want particular representation from every geographical or from every territory of the world. Okay, so it is based on the geographical representation. That means we want representation from all parts, all regions of the world. So that's how these 54 seats are allotted. Okay, so that is your Economic and Social Council. And what is the function of this Economic and Social Council? Obviously you can easily get it through the name only, economic and social. That means it would work towards the economic development and social development of the entire world. Okay, now the last one, which is not in existence today, that is our Trusteeship Council. Okay, now Trusteeship Council was basically formed in order to help the countries to get independence. Okay, we all know that there were so many countries that were colonized by maybe European nation or by other countries, right? Even India was one of the one. India has been colonized by the Britishers for almost 200 years, right? So to help the countries in giving them independence, this Trusteeship Council was formed, right? But Palau was the last territory that was occupied by other countries. Okay, so after establishing independence in the region of Palau, the role of this Trusteeship Council ended. Okay, so this was the last UN Trust territory. UN Trust territory means certain list was maintained that yes, we have to provide independence to all these countries that are here in the list. So Palau was the last one in that UN Trust territory list. So after establishing independence in the Palau region, in November 1994, this Trusteeship Council was mutually decided to be winded up. Okay, so all the members mutually decided, they agreed that yes, we have to wind up this Trusteeship Council because it it is no longer required, right? So far we have covered the principal organs of the United Nations. Now there are certain other bodies, or you can say entities, specialized agencies that are working under these particular principal organs, right? So for every other matter we have formed a particular organization, a committee, a body to focus on that particular issue. Okay, so let's just talk about these different bodies also quickly. So first one is your subsidiary body. Subsidiary body. Okay, so the first one is Military Staff Committee, International Criminal Tribunals, former Yugoslavia, Rwanda, then your peacekeeping operations and mission. You just have to go through these names. Probably this can be asked in your exam, peacekeeping operations and missions, because it is important. Okay, other than that nothing is more required, but let me just clarify. So this is basically your military staff committee. Okay, military staff committee का काम क्या होता है आपका? Military staff, so the people who are a part of the military. Okay, so a committee was formed for the military people. Then there is this international criminal tribunals. So that means on the international level, whatever criminal case are going on, so a particular bench was established. Okay, fine, the criminal cases would be recommended to would be referred to these particular tribunals rather than the court. So basically to decrease the load of the courts, that tribunal was formed. So it was based in Yugoslavia, Rwanda. Then is your peacekeeping operation and mission. So you will read about this in the next lectures, but let me just explain you. So suppose there are some war-torn regions, okay? So to assist the humans on the ground level, this peacekeeping commission was established. So basically all the members of the United Nations will send their representatives into this peacekeeping missions, and what they will do, they will be working on the ground level in the war-torn areas to provide humanitarian aid to the people who are affected by these wars. Okay, for example, currently in the Gaza Strip, people are affected because of the war declared by the Israel government. So there also this UN peacekeeping force is deployed. Okay, they have been working there to help or to assist the people. Now let's talk about the related organization. So first one is the International Atomic Energy Agency. So definitely it will it's an agency that is working towards the development of atomic energy. They are trying to have some researches, bring new technologies regarding the atomic energy. So it is dedicated to study of atomic energy only, and it is responsible to report to both Security Council as well as General Assembly. That means whatever research or whatever data they have to report it to the Security Council as well as to the General Assembly, right? Then we have certain programs and funds. One of the most important is UNCTAD, Conference on Trade and Development. So basically whatever trade is happening, whatever development is happening at the international level, whatever trade between different countries is happening. So it is a conference on the trade and development. So it will mainly focus on the trade. Okay, so what kind of trade barriers should be there, what kind of laws should be there, international laws. So that is. Okay, that means all the countries can come together and they can discuss about the different trade related issues or development related issues through this UNCTAD. Then is your UNEP, Environment Program, United Nations Environment Program. We see every now and then it has some report to publish on the environment. So it is focusing upon the environment. Okay. Then we have UNDP, United Nations Development Program. It is working towards the development in terms of social development, economic development, political development, everything. Okay. Then is your UNICEF. UNICEF is United Nations International Children and Education Fund. Okay, so it basically focuses upon the child education. So that's how it works. Then is your population fund, UNFPA. So it also works towards the population. Okay. Then is your Office of High Commissioner for the Refugees. So it is for the refugees. So basically there are so many people who migrate from their home country to another country because maybe their own country has been affected by war, or there is no security, there is economic or financial crisis in their own country. So for that any reason, people usually migrate to other countries for seeking better opportunities. So considerably these will be known as refugees, those who have left their home country because of some war or any other particular issue. So it is the duty of the other country to provide assistance, aid, and proper livelihood to these refugees. So for that also a particular agency has been formed, and that is your High Commissioner for Refugees. So they will work for the betterment of the refugees. Then is your World Food Program. So it will work towards establishing the quality, the quantity of the food. So it works for the food. Okay. Then is your Relief and Work Agency for the Palestine refugees in the Near East. Okay. So again, Palestine has been an issue since eternity. So a separate body, a separate program is there for this Palestine issue. Okay. So people who leave Palestine. Okay. So they are known as Palestine refugees. So for them also this particular program has been established. Then is your Human Settlement Program. Human Settlement Program. So basically people are settling here and there. So for that there is Human Settlement Program. You don't have to go into detail. Just go through the names only. Okay. Then we have the functional commissions. One is your Human Rights Commission, Narcotic Drugs, Sustainable Development, Status of Women. So again, for different issues we have different commissions. Human right means it will focus on the political rights, social right of the people. Okay, it ensures that everyone in this entire world are getting all the rights that they deserve. Narcotic drugs. Okay. So again, drugs are illegal, but still so many countries are here who are involved in the production of these drugs, which are certainly harmful for the youth. So there is one commission for narcotic drugs control also. Then there is sustainable development. We have already discussed about the millennium goals, or probably we would be discussing in the next lecture. So sustainable development goals, so there are some 17 goals. Okay. And they are focusing upon having such kind of development which is sustainable in nature. Means we have to develop our world but in a sustainable fashion. That means we have to maintain a world which would not be a disaster for the future generation. That means we don't have to use all the resources that are present to us and exhaust everything. Rather we have to keep the resources safe for the upcoming generation also. That means we have to think more about the environmental issues, right? So these are the sustainable development goals. Okay, so a committee has been established to check whether the countries are focusing towards fulfilling these sustainable development goals or not. Then again, status of women by women. Okay, so whether the condition of women is good or not, whether the status of women is improving or not. So a committee is working on the status of women. There are so many issues: domestic violence, rape, trafficking, prostitution. So just to have a check on all these issues, there is a commission. That is a commission on the status of women. Okay. Then is your regional commission. Regional commission means a particular commission that is made for a particular region. Okay. So there are economic commissions for Africa, because we know Africa is the region which is considered to be very poor, right? So sub-Saharan region is the populous one and hit by poverty. So for that reason, a particular regional commission has been established for Africa. Then similarly for Europe, for Latin America, for Caribbean island, for Caribbean islands are where? So Caribbean between the North America and the Southern or the Latin America, this Central American portion. Okay, so there you have your Caribbean islands. Okay, then Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Asian Pacific ke liye again we have a particular commission. Then we have this Western Asia. Okay, then we have this Western Asia. So there is another organization which is a World Trade Organization. Who does not know about this? World Trade Organization, it works for managing the trade related issues, trade barriers, taxation, everything. So it works for the trade. Okay, trade between countries. Okay. Now let's talk about these other entities, and these arrows are basically representing that these bodies are responsible to report to these particular principal organs, because eventually all these extra bodies that we are talking about, they are a part, they comes under these principal organs. So eventually if they are doing something, they have to report to these principal organs. Okay. Now let's talk about other entities. So there is one High Commissioner for Human Rights. UN university भी है. Then there is a joint program on HIV and AIDS. Okay, because HIV AIDS is a very big threat, especially if you talk about Africa. Then every one out of five person in Africa is suffering from this HIV AIDS. So that's a major issue. Okay, then there are some specialized agencies, okay, of the United Nations in which we have International Labour Organization to protect the rights of the labor of the working class. There is an International Labour Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization to check the quality, to maintain, to assure that yes, this particular food is healthy, this food has been prepared with all the safety issues keeping in mind. Okay, so for that, Food and Agriculture Organization. Then we have UNESCO. Now UNESCO, you must be knowing, it is responsible for preserving all the culture or the different cultural heritage sites of the world. It basically works towards education, scientific and cultural aspects. Okay, then we have World Health Organization. It works towards the health. Okay, World Bank Group, International Monetary Fund, ये we have discussed. International Monetary Fund, it gives loans to all the countries. Okay, International Maritime Organization. Maritime means the ocean territory. Okay, so it is an organization which solves all the issues regarding the territorial dispute, ocean territory particularly. Then there is World Meteorological Organization, International Telecommunication Union. Okay, so these are the different specialized agencies. So I hope the topic was clear to you. Just let's have a quick summary. We have discussed about the 5 principal organs. Earlier there were 6 principal organs, but now as the Trusteeship Council is no longer in existence, we have 5 principal organs, out of which one is your UN General Assembly, then we have UN Security Council, and then we have International Court of Justice. Then we talked about Secretariat, and then we had discussed about the ECOSOC, which is your Economic and Social Council, and in the last we had also discussed about the Trusteeship Council, which is no longer in existence. It has been winded up. Okay, and further we have discussed about some subsidiary bodies and non-subsidiary bodies which are basically working under these principal organs. Okay, I hope the video was clear to you. Thank you so much for watching.